On the debut episode of The Chef Show on Netflix, filmmaker Jon Favreau was reminiscing with his dear friend, Oscar-winning actress Gwyneth Paltrow.
For that, I thank my family, my mother, Blythe Tanner.
And he brought up the lovely time that they had spent together on the set of Spider-Man Homecoming. But there was just one thing. Gwyneth Paltrow had no idea she was in that mega Marvel movie.
Well, yeah, we were in Spider-Man together. Remember we were on Spider-Man?
We weren't in Spider-Man.
Yes, we were.
Didn't know she was in Spider-Man Homecoming. Is this because she's out of touch with reality? Or is she just very busy and sneaky Marvel didn't let her know what she was doing? Or does she just not give a f? Her belief in alternative ways of healing have been called pseudoscience by some, which has sometimes gotten her in trouble. Yet, love her or hate her, you have to admit that there's something comforting about seeing Gwyneth Paltrow on the screen. And just like Tony Stark, she has not been seen on the screen since Avengers Endgame. So it's time to ask that age-old WTF question. What the f happened to Gwyneth Paltrow? And what the f's in the box? But to truly understand what the f happened to Gwyneth Paltrow, we must begin at the beginning, and the beginning began when she was born on her birthday, Los Angeles, 1972, to famous parents Blythe Danner, of Meet the Parents fame, and filmmaker Bruce Paltrow. And if that wasn't enough Hollywood elitist clout for ya, her godfather is none other than director Steven Spielberg. Paltrow's first on-screen experience would come by way of her father, casting her in the TV movie High in 1989. And she got a small role in the musical Shout, followed up by playing a young Wendy Darling in Steven Spielberg's Hook. You know, her godfather. She would continue to use those family connections to get more experience on camera by starring opposite her mother in the 1992 miniseries Cruel Doubt. And a year later, she was in the TV movie Deadly Relations, plus there were small roles in Malice, Miss Parker and the Vicious Circle, and an uncredited role in Higher Learning and Jefferson in Paris, as well as an excellent performance in a film called Flesh and Bone that really impressed everybody. But let's be honest, the first time that many of us took notice of Miss Gwyneth Paltrow was when she was playing what at the start seemed to be just a run-of-the-mill girlfriend character, yet by the end turned into one of the most iconic heads of all time in David Fincher's Seven in 1995. It was her work in that movie Flesh and Bone that convinced David Fincher that Gwyneth Paltrow was the only choice for this role of Detective Mill's wife. However, she was initially reluctant to take on this role, so David Fincher asked his star, Brad Pitt, who just happened to be Gwyneth Paltrow's real-life boyfriend in real life at the time, to talk her into taking the role. And thank goodness he did, because Gwyneth Paltrow was perfect for this movie. You know, due to her innate sweetness, which was what was needed for that ending to really pack a punch. And it did, it packed a punch. And just think about this for a second, the fact that she just had one dinner scene for the audience to really fall in love with her really says a lot about her performance. And that shocking, horrible, amazing ending doesn't work unless Gwyneth Paltrow delivers the goods, and she did. It's a testament to how perfect she was in this role. Because if she wasn't good, I wouldn't really give a f what was in the box. I'd just be like, hey, it's just a box. And this movie, Seven, well, it made $328 million at the worldwide box office and is still Paltrow's highest grossing non-Marvel movie of her career. But on screen, Gwyneth Paltrow's career was just beginning to heat up. She would star in Moonlight and Valentina, which Roger Ebert, the guy with the thumbs, he called this film very sincere, very heartfelt, and very bad. This was followed by appearing in the feature directorial debut of master genius movie maker Paul Thomas Anderson. It was a movie called Hard 8. And yeah, just the fact that Gwyneth Paltrow can be in a Paul Thomas Anderson movie means she's a good actress. And yeah, Roger Ebert, the guy with the thumbs again, said that this movie, Hard 8, had wonderfully understated acting. It would be the year 1996 that we truly got to see Gwyneth Paltrow break out into more leading roles. First, she would appear opposite David Schwimmer in director Matt Reeves', yes, the guy who made The Batman, a romantic comedy called The Pallbearer. This one kinda just came and went, not even making $10 million at the box office. And it was only made because Harvey Weinstein refused to finance her next film unless she agreed to star in this one, The Pallbearer, first. So yeah, that next film that Harvey Weinstein made Gwyneth Paltrow agree to do would be a true showcase piece for Gwyneth Paltrow's acting, when this very American actress was cast as this very English character, Emma, in the adaptation of the Jane Austen novel. This film, Emma, did not set the world on fire, just making $22 million off a $7 million budget, but the reviews were unanimous in the praise for Gwyneth Paltrow's charming performance. And she would win the Satellite Award for Best Actress in a Comedy or Musical. Paltrow's career really took off in 1998. First, she would appear in a movie that had us all questioning every little decision we would make in life, in the film Sliding Doors, playing dual roles as a woman who both made the train and missed it. You know, the multiverse. Critics said that the premise was a bit too gimmicky, but ultimately the film worked because of the cast's winning performances, and it would go on to make a decent $67 million worldwide. Her next film would be an adaptation of Charles Dickens' Great Expectations, with the critics saying that this film was simply beautiful people, beautifully shot without any depth or emotion, and you need depth and emotion in movies, apparently. She would next appear in a thriller called Hush, with critics calling the performances comatose and hysterical. This was followed by A Perfect Murder, which was an update of Alfred Hitchcock's film Dial M for Murder, and it pulled in $128 million worldwide, and would win her that coveted Blockbuster Entertainment Award for Favorite Actress. Suspense. Of course, all of those films pale in comparison to Paltrow's last offering of that year, 1998, Shakespeare in Love. The film would be a solid moneymaker, pulling in almost $300 million worldwide, off a $25 million budget. And it would receive strong reviews across the board, as critics fell in love with its lighthearted humor and sweet romance. However, behind the scenes was anything but sweet. First off, there were rumors that Gwyneth Paltrow actually stole the part from her best friend Winona Ryder. Oh no, she didn't. But yeah, Shakespeare in Love, love it or hate it, is actually credited with being the film that truly kickstarted modern Oscar campaigning, as the film's producer, Harvey Weinstein, was apparently so relentless in his pursuit of the Oscar that many people thought he actually paid off the voters. The film would become one of, if not the most notoriously undeserving Best Picture winner in modern Oscar history. You know, because it beat Saving Private Ryan. In addition to winning 6 other awards, including Best Actress for Paltrow, which she did deserve. And after her Oscar win, Gwyneth Paltrow would continue grabbing headlining roles, and a few juicy supporting roles too, but nothing that really caught on with the public. She did appear in The Talented Mr. Ripley in 1999 and had great chemistry with her co-stars, and she would get to show off her incredible vocals in a movie directed by her daddy, Bruce Patrow, called Duets in the year 2000. Which would fail to catch on with critics and audiences. It was a box office flop, but its soundtrack would prove to be a hit, with the Gwyneth Paltrow and Huey Lewis collaboration Cruisin', hitting #1 in the Australian and New Zealand charts. Rock and roll. She would follow that up by appearing opposite her new boyfriend, Ben Affleck, in the romantic drama Bounce. Then came the year 2001 and she would appear in The Anniversary Party, followed by being part of one of the best ensemble casts ever assembled. in Wes Anderson's The Royal Tenenbaums, another character which she perfectly captures the essence of in that quirky, symmetrical world of Wes. Her depressed, monotone delivery is hilariously sad and perfect.
Stand up straight and let me get a look at you.
And quirky. Paltrow had a very busy schedule at this time, with films such as Possession, View from the Top, Sylvia, and the hilarious Shallow Hal, where she gets to break hearts and furniture in a beautifully made fat suit. I mean, a beautifully made overweight suit, a big boned suit, which she hated wearing. And I think Shallow Hal is actually really underrated. It's a hilariously politically incorrect movie that has a nice message squeezed in between those fat jokes, those big bone jokes, from the director of Green Book. After a hilarious cameo in the opening scene of Austin Powers in Goldmember, she would join the cast of a very underrated film called Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. There are a lot of films out there that you can say are good but don't reinvent the wheel, but this one kinda did. It is one of the first films to be shot entirely digital on a fully green screen soundstage. And at the time, everybody thought that the filmmaker was crazy for shooting it this way, but now every f***ing movie is made like this, for better or worse. Worse. But Sky Captain had the best of intentions. From there, Gwyneth Paltrow had a string of fairly unmemorable films, such as 2005's Proof, although she was nominated for Best Actress at the Golden Globes for this one, but does anyone remember it? Followed up by the other not quite as good Truman Capote movie, Infamous. She had a cameo in Love and Other Disasters, and appeared in the critically panned Running with Scissors. Although that collaboration with Ryan Murphy would pan out a few years later when Gwyneth Paltrow would guest star on 5 episodes of Murphy's hit show Glee.
My name is Holly Holiday. What's yours?
As Holly Holiday, where she would win an Emmy for Outstanding Guest Actress. Then, after appearing in another 2 pretty forgettable films, The Good Night and Two Lovers, she would be reintroduced to audiences worldwide in the role of Tony Stark's assistant/love interest, Pepper Potts, in Iron Man. This really felt like the perfect role for the actress. It was her biggest, most substantial impact on our pop culture since she won the Oscar. Her role as Pepper Potts was strong and sweet, and even though their romance was never central to the story, you just wanted Stark and Potts to be together. Because, as the saying goes, behind every great Iron Man is a greater Iron Woman. For the MCU, she would continue to have large roles in the Iron Man films, providing a much-needed heart to those movies, while appearing in guest spots in other MCU films, like Avengers 1, Infinity War, and Endgame. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot, she was in Spider-Man Homecoming. Who would forget such a thing? But yeah, actually later she would clarify why she did not know she was in Spider-Man Homecoming, saying that the Marvel films are shrouded in so much secrecy that she thought she was filming an Avengers movie. And the studio just let her think that. WTF? Hollywood is crazy, y'all.
That was really violent.
It would be around the Iron Man time that Gwyneth Paltrow would launch her own wellness company, Goop, which started out as a weekly newsletter. But the company has expanded exponentially and now sells everything from wellness supplements to sex toys, and even a candle that will make your house smell like a certain private part of Gwyneth Paltrow's body. What the f***? But I think it was the sitcom Modern Family that perfectly parodied this whole Goop thing best.
People say that NERP is nothing more than a con job, a cash grab vanity project from a kooky actress.
In the meantime, Gwyneth Paltrow has been busy starring in films such as Country Strong, which saw Gwyneth Paltrow sing on the soundtrack, and it peaked at number 2 on the Billboard charts. Followed by the now too close to reality film Contagion in 2011, And this is actually a beautifully made Steven Soderbergh film that shows the human side of pandemics. A very grounded disaster movie with an ensemble cast. And of course, many of us have rewatched this one in the past few years for some reason. Goop has a very small role in Contagion, but she is key to the whole story, and we see just enough of her to appreciate her presence. She was also in a couple of box office bombs, like Thanks for Sharing in 2012, and Johnny Depp's ridiculous mess of a movie called Mordecai that was so bad that it almost ruined the careers of everyone involved. So then she turned to TV, in 2 episodes of Lisa Kudrow's hilarious Web Theory, while starring in the Ryan Murphy-produced The Politician on Netflix. In July of 2022, she announced that she would be retiring from acting to focus on her company, Goop, which currently has a value of over 250 million buckaroos. What the f***? Gwyneth Paltrow brings a stern sweetness to every role she takes on, while also deep inside you can see that her characters have a fiery soul that truly allows her to stand out amongst the rest of, the people that look like her that do what she does. She recently celebrated her 50th birthday, and of course, she always gets made fun of for, being out of touch with the common man. But when you watch her interviews, you get the impression that she's in on the joke, and is perfectly fine with playing along. Or at least that's what her people told her to do. Gwyneth Paltrow says that for right now, she does not miss acting, but that may change in the future, opening that sliding door for a return. But the good news is that if one day she does return to acting, perhaps in a Marvel film, or Shakespeare in Love 2, or maybe a sequel to 7 called 8, or just another Spider-Man movie that she doesn't realize she's in. Whatever it is, we know she'll be great. And if she doesn't want to come back, that's totally fine, because she's done a lot and her legacy is secure. And that is why no one should give a f*** about what the f*** happened to Gwyneth Paltrow, because she's doing just fine.